Hello my Africa, hello brothers and sisters. I'm back with another confession that is so settling about a woman that saw her late grandmother turning into a half snake, half human being because she did not follow the right instructions for the money-making ritual. This is the confession of an anonymous woman that sent me a message 4 days ago. It is just that I was super busy to narrate confessions. The story goes like this. Hello Mr. Strange African Confessions. I've been watching your videos and I was so surprised that I am not the only one that has witnessed such spiritual things in my life. Please, as I'm telling you the story, hide my location and my identity as anonymous, because this story is so sensitive and I feel so bad about talking about it because it gives me bad memories. But it is what it is. I have to just let it go and move on with my life. And this is how the story goes. Growing up, we were living in a very poor family. It was I, my mother, and my grandmother, because my grandfather had passed before I was born. Even currently now, I do not know who my biological father is. We used to live by hand to mouth, meaning that we could ask for favors around the neighborhood, and we could sometimes stay for the whole day without eating any food, and sometimes in the night I and my mother could go to eat in the public dustbins where people throw their bones and leftovers, which really showed how poor we were. So as time went, my mother went out to look for a job, and as she went, she found a job as a maid. While she was still working there as a maid, those people that were known as the rich families, they moved after 2 months while my mother was still working there. So they moved out of the Kasi location, moving to another far destination where we couldn't hold our mother. So that means that it was I and my grandmother that were left only. So I do not know what happened. My mother started by not sending us money during that duration of 2 months. Either those people are not paying her, or those people were paying her small bits of money because she was underprivileged. Because you know how rich people are. They take everything lightly. So we didn't want to pressurize our mother. We were just thankful that she came out of poverty and she was going out there to live a better life. As we had accepted that my mother went forever there, she was living a better life, while as I and my grandmother were still living together. Then it was only the two of us living together. So we decided that I should hustle for food, at least to find ends meet, so that we cannot sleep on an empty stomach. So as agreed with my grandmother, I went out to do a bit of piece jobs, and luckily some people were empathetic on us because they were giving me a bit of piece jobs and a bit of food so that we cannot sleep on an empty stomach. So then my grandmother was tired of poverty, of sleeping on an empty stomach. So my grandmother just decided by herself that she will go out to consult a traditional healer. So after my grandmother went there to the traditional healer, it was around 7 p.m. in the evening. As soon as she arrived at home, she sat down because we were living in a one-bedroomed house. She sat down and she removed some kind of weird muti. And as she was removing it, she was applying it on her legs. And I did not understand what she was doing. And also, I didn't understand because she did not consult with me, telling me that she went to a traditional healer to take some muti. After seeing her applying that slimy muti of hers, she had a tendency of taking a bath after applying that muti. And while she's still bathing, she was chanting weird words that I couldn't understand. Even till today, I don't know what those words were. And while she was bathing and chanting those weird words of hers, I could see her transforming into a weird creature. A creature that you could see it's a human, but it's another creature that you couldn't understand in a human form. Sort of like it was blurry, but you could see. I do not know how to explain it, but I hope you understand what I'm talking about. And as time went, I started always seeing my grandmother bringing food, a bunch of groceries that I do not know where she is taking it from. And sometimes I could find money on the side of where she was sleeping, or in other words, under the pillow. A pile of money that I do not know where she took that money from. So I just ignored, thinking that she found a hidden job that she did not tell me about, not knowing that it is ritual money. While I was still enjoying the food and not sleeping on an empty stomach, I did not know that such things had consequences. Because as time went, my grandmother started having pride of not knowing the rituals that I'm used to of seeing her doing, such as the ones that I was saying prior, like applying that slimy muti, and also after bathing and chanting some words that she was always chanting. So my grandmother sometimes would not do it because there was always money around and life was much more simpler because she was not having stress like before. So that's the whole reason why she was not continuing doing her rituals, because she felt like she was tired now. A year later, my grandmother started becoming sick in such a way that when she's sleeping, she could hiss like a snake. So in my mind, I thought that it is just a seizure or just an unknown sickness that is coming out of nowhere because she was aging. But I always say, but even though it's not good, but it's good in my way. At least my grandmother, she invested that money into extending our house into a 3-bedroomed house. But still, I could sleep with her even though there were other spare bedrooms, but it was just the love of my grandmother because I'm used to of sleeping close to her. That's the whole reason why I was still continuing sleeping with her, even though she built other bedrooms. A few months later, my grandmother started becoming moody because she did not like going out like she used to. So while she was being so moody, I did not know that it is the effects of those rituals that she was not doing. So my grandmother started telling me that I should sleep in another spare bedroomed house that she built for me so that I should have my own privacy, and she wants her own privacy. As I did as she insisted, I started living alone in my own bedroom and she was living alone in her bedroom. So one day, it was in the evening, it was about 5 p.m. in the evening. As I entered into our 3-bedroomed house, I wanted to check out how is my grandmother doing because I did not really see her that much as I'm used to. As I tried to enter the bedroom, I found out that her bedroom is locked. As I knocked at her door, I heard her telling me that I should learn to knock first, not just enter. So I waited for her patiently so that she can open her bedroom door in order for me to see her and greet her. As she was still unlocking, she was telling me that I should not enter. Whatever I want, I should say it out of the door and she will give it to me and I'll go without me entering into her bedroom. So in my mind, I did not really think of anything suspicious. I was just thinking that she still loves her privacy. That's the reason why she's telling me to tell me whatever I want and she will give it to me while I'm still outside of her bedroom door. So I was telling her that I need some money to buy food because food looks like it was getting finished in the house. So she told me money is not a problem. What I should do, she will always give me money and I'll always go out and buy whatever I want. So she gave me 3,000 pula cash. So as I was excited, my grandmother told me to spend it however I want and I should also buy food. If I need more, I can come back and take more. So I just ignored that red flag also. So as I did, as she insisted, I took the money and I went out to buy food and I bought myself some shoes and some clothes. 2 days later, I went to her bedroom door. I knocked and I told her that I needed some money to go buy myself some pizza and I needed to go out to date my friends. And she did not hesitate with anything because she told me it's okay, she'll just give me the money. While she was still trying to remove her hand, because now I was asking myself questions that why is my grandmother only removing her hand and giving me money? What is she afraid of so that I cannot see her full body? So that day, I just pushed the door and I entered while my grandmother was still trying to give me money through the door because I couldn't see her full body. And when I looked, I saw a big tail snake that I couldn't understand where it started and where it was ending because it was so huge in such a way that it looked like it could fill almost all of the room. And while I was still looking there, astonishedly sitting there like a statue, because I freezed. While I tried to look closely, I saw where the waist starts. I saw my grandmother's body going up, and where the waist starts going down, it was a skin of a snake. And that skin of a snake was just long, and it was wrapping around itself and going again in a long, narrowy, long length. That's how tall and long it was. Because at that moment, I couldn't scream at all. Because I thought that maybe when I scream, she will do something or harm me in a bad way. So she started telling me, my granddaughter, do not be afraid. And she started narrating the story of how she went to the witch doctor. And the reason why she is like this is because she was not doing the rituals that she was told to do. And while she was telling me the story, I saw myself moving 2 steps back slowly because I was super scared. And as soon as I saw that I was out of her bedroom, I closed the door and I sat down in the living room thinking. And I was so sad because I was thinking of so many things, because my mother went, now my grandmother turned into a snake. What are people going to say? So I was asking myself that in my mind. And such things, they are scary because I couldn't live with my grandmother like this. So then I decided to just go out to the neighbors and tell them what I saw, because back then I was still a teenager. I was so confused in so many ways because I was thinking of a lot of things. That's the whole reason why I went to my next door neighbors and telling them that what I saw. And I was also asking them what is the solution. So my neighbors took me as a teenager and we went to the police. And as soon as we arrived at the police station, I narrated the story to the police officers. And they were also astonished because they did not really believe that such things exist. So they took me with my next door neighbor, because I'm the one that went with her to the police station. So as soon as we returned home, I told the police officers that I'm scared of entering the house because of what I saw. And there was one police officer that said that he's brave because he grew up seeing scary things. So he's the one that entered first. We let him enter, and he went straight to the bedroom of my grandmother. When he opened the door, I heard him screaming, and in a second I saw him passing us by, running, flying in a funny way, because he jumped over the screen wall that we built. He jumped it without touching it, and it really showed that he was really scared of what he saw. And as that police ran away, the other police officers now were scared of entering the house because they knew that what I told them was 100% true. So what they did, they called a traditional healer. The traditional healer entered, and it looks like that it was another traditional healer, and it looks like that traditional healer was not scared of seeing those scary things. That traditional healer took my grandmother and did some chanting, and it looked like my grandmother that day was healed. She turned back into a human. And as soon as that traditional healer went back to us, he was telling us that we need to let our grandmother go to the river, because now she is in a state that she is going to become fully a snake after 2 months. So we should release her to go to the river and live there, because now she's not compatible with living with humans. So as the traditional healer was telling us what was supposed to do with our grandmother, I felt like I was dreaming or I was watching a movie, but it was reality of the things that I saw in my life. So as we did what the traditional healer insisted us to do, we took our grandmother at that time and we just left her beside the river. And ever since leaving her at the river, she never came back to our house. So we believe that now she is fully a snake, and this problem it is made by her. So I had just accepted my fate that now my grandmother is gone. Ever since that day, I moved on with my life. Until today, I remember telling one of my friends the story of what had happened in my life. And that particular friend of mine doesn't believe at all of what had happened to me. Whew, so that's the end of the confession. Strange things indeed, they do happen. I always tell people that be careful of these African spiritual things. Whatever you do, know that there are disadvantages and advantages. It's either you go for prayer or for traditional healers. It's your choice. So thank you and God bless.